Video games have become woven in modern society, with millions finding comfort in the digital world. Behind every successful title stands not just the developers, but a passionate community dedicated to making the game better. This community works tirelessly to improve the experience with critical feedback to the developer. Most developers recognize this relationship. Players voice concerns, developers implement changes, player numbers grow, and profits follow. It's a pretty straightforward equation, yet not all of them follow this rule. Sometimes, the least invested in their creations stumble upon gold mines, leaving the dedicated players to build the game themselves. In the small world of racing simulators stands Poboso, a developer who has created titles like Kart Racing Pro and GP Bikes. This is not a giant corporation with hundreds of developers. Estimates suggest that the entire operation consists of just 1 to 3 people. It's a very small studio. Poboso's goal was simple: bring a version of gaming that bridges the gap between the real world and the digital world. These racing simulators are based on fully built physics engines that accurately simulate to be an athlete in a sport. In 2014, this modest operation began a project that would eventually transform the motocross gaming industry. It was called MX Bikes. MX Bikes focused on creating a realistic simulation centered around dirt bikes. At this time, popular games like MX vs ATV and MXGP dominated the scene. While these titles were enjoyable, they leaned more toward an arcade style, allowing players to pick them up and learn the mechanics within a couple hours. However, there was a growing demand for something deeper and more challenging. Recognizing this untapped market, Poboso launched the beta version of MX Bikes on September 30th, 2014. This release was quite underground, as it was only available for purchase on the Poboso website. They made it very clear that it was a beta version and that purchases would directly support ongoing development. Over the years, as more people began to support the project, the game continued to evolve amid mixed reviews regarding its progress. There was one group that was just happy to see it come to life, as another group was upset at the progress after years of constant development. Everyone had to wait for an answer till it was officially launched on the Steam platform on October 7th, 2019. Even though it was still considered in beta testing, the Poboso team felt like it was a good enough spot for a wider audience. The end result? A product that displayed significant potential but ultimately fell short of expectations. The best way to describe it is goodish. At launch, MX Bikes offered 13 tracks ranging from a fast outdoor motocross tracks to tight technical supercross arenas. This selection includes several real-world replicas from the professional scene, with the Red Bull Straight Rhythm adding a fun option. While these tracks showed promise, they suffered from scaling issues and design flaws. The jump faces were not steep enough to replicate professional tracks, some sections were too far apart or too close together, and the overall track designs were basic, to say the least. Still, there was a lot of potential for the future. The bikes available were limited, featuring 5 models: a 450cc, a 350cc, a 250cc, a 2-stroke 250, and a Supermoto variant. Like the tracks, the bikes were also a work in progress, characterized by slow speeds, overly bouncy suspension, and aerodynamic issues. They were a good base to build upon. Customization options for characters included a few choices of helmets, riding kits, and boots. However, the multiplayer was the most incomplete aspect, requiring players to host their own lobbies instead of utilizing matchmaking systems, common in most games. After 5 years, the game was far from complete, but it had all the ingredients to be something amazing. We were excited for the next updates, as the community would help with critical feedback, and for the next 24 months after the release, we would be let down. During this time, updates focus almost exclusively on fixes, with minimal new content. Just 1 additional track and no new bikes in 2 years. While Poboso did add animations, menu improvements, and texture updates, these felt like features that should have been included at release. The lack of new content could have almost killed any game. but some players took matters in their own hands to keep the game alive. Rewinding it back to the early developments in 2014, players began creating mods for MX Bikes. It started with forums where users shared downloads to add into the game files. This evolved into MX Bike Central, the first organized platform for mods, leading to the birth of a small community. On this website, you were able to download custom tracks, riders, and even bikes. This website kept strong until it was unfortunately taken down by hackers. Following the game's official release, MXB Mods emerged as the community's primary modding hub, replacing MX Bike Central. It was clear that the community loved the game, but it was missing so much, and they decided to take it upon themselves to create something great. The community's first priority was addressing the game's motorcycles. When a dedicated team released the OEM pack on the MXB Mods website, it transformed the riding experience. The OEMs outperformed the original Poboso bikes in every way. Speeds were increased, suspension offered more customization, and handling became superior. Engine sounds now resembled real-life dirt bikes. They also included brands that riders recognized from their own experience. As the community fell in love with these bikes, modders expanded their efforts into riding gear and other accessories. The improved bikes soon outgrew the simplistic tracks designed by the developers. Creators began to develop more technical and challenging courses featuring realistic ruts, properly scaled jumps, and replicas of the professional circuits. Despite all these improvements, MX Bikes still lacked a structured competitive league. The random player-hosted servers were simply not cutting it. What was needed was an organized establishment where elite riders could test their skills in a legitimate championship format. Enter the Aerial Racing League. This is Nico. He's the founder of the Aerial Racing League. He paired up with a passionate group of community members, including renowned track builders Stone Rider, JV, and Hell Machine, to mirror the structure of the professional motocross scene. Just like the real-world format, they established a 17-round indoor supercross season and a 11-race outdoor series, each crowning its own champion. With dedicated servers featuring qualifying sessions and professional-grade organization, the league filled the competitive void that MX Bikes desperately needed. As a result, players' numbers surged in response. The game was starting to take shape. Potential was now turning into a reality. Now, despite this remarkable community achievement, the game remained largely unknown outside the dedicated forums and word of mouth, a true marketing failure that should have been in the developer's responsibility. This vacuum ultimately shaped space for two influential content creators that would bring MX Bikes to unimaginable popularity. The influence of Linz and Doc Reaper on MX Bikes cannot be overstated. While many contributed to the community, these two shaped its trajectory forever. Linz, a lightning-fast Brit, migrated from MX Simulator. His MX Simulator content featured world record lap times and competitive racing, which he brought along to MX Bikes. His tutorial videos, one reaching over 200,000 views, became an essential guide for newcomers, while Doc Reaper emerged with his own distinctive approach. Also very skilled at the game, he brought a lot of the entertainment with fun challenges. His track reviews and tips brought tons of visibility to the underground community of MX Bikes. It seemed like we had all the ingredients needed for growth, and let me tell you, we damn did. Over the next years, popularity would soar to heights we as a community could not have imagined. Doc and Linz blazed a trail that newer content creators now follow with remarkable success. Trojan boasts over 200,000 subscribers, racking up millions of views on short-form content, while Kelso has built an audience of over 62,000, also reaching viral numbers. The Aerial Racing League has evolved from a small community league into a legitimate esport, attracting support from external sponsors. Players now enjoy an official ranking system similar to those found in mainstream titles. We have hundreds of tracks to choose from, almost too many to handle, and now customization has reached new heights with teams sporting custom gear, graphics, and much more. MX Bikes serves as a compelling case study in a community-driven development. While Poboso laid the groundwork, it was the passionate players who had transformed this simulator into something extraordinary, largely without the developers' direct involvement. The developers have substantially benefited from riding the wave of free community upgrades, attracting new customers despite their minimum content additions. I can't deny that they have made some contributions, as the patch notes would indicate otherwise, but most of these updates were merely fixes. Over the years, Updates have gradually declined, with only one significant update in the recent times. In the 5 years since it's been released on Steam, just 2 new tracks have been added and no new bikes enter the mix. The game has generated an estimated $10 to $15 million in revenue, leading one to wonder why Puboso hasn't allocated more resources to its development. At the very least, they could have invested in marketing, especially when their website resembles something from the 90s and their official forum is cluttered with more spam chats than meaningful discussions. It feels as if they simply just don't care. On the bright side, those same community pioneers are now channeling their expertise into a new project called Motocross the Game. Their vision builds directly on the lessons learned throughout the years of modding MX bikes, aiming to create the most authentic motocross simulation ever developed. This evolution marks a promising new chapter for dirt bike enthusiasts. When this game is released, I anticipate many riders to transition over, potentially leading to the decline of MX bikes. For the developer, it doesn't matter. The money has been made and they're off pursuing other ventures, but that's okay. Growth often arises from hardships. The future looks bright in the motocross community, and I can't wait to see what is to come. Until next time, stay saucy, my nugs.